This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Fresno County, California. The witness states that he was hunting at Sample Meadows above Lake Huntington, saying that he had just walked through a marshy area and started moving into a heavy wooded area when he caught a look at two deer. He thinks that he must have spooked as he watched the deer run through the pine trees. He says that he stopped and remained completely still for a couple of minutes, when all of a sudden he heard a loud expulsion of air with a branch snapping behind him, saying that he has never heard this sound in the woods before. He froze and didn't move. Well, about a minute later he heard the same noises again. This time the sound came from further away. Now it wasn't long until he heard the sound coming from the north of him, being much closer this time, while saying that these sounds happened about 6 times, all coming from different locations. He thinks that whatever it was making the noise was trying to scare him off, or maybe trying to see where he was at the time. Now he says that the last time he heard this sound, that he thought it was right behind him, saying that he could hear branches being broke and moved as it was running away. He says that he stood still for about 5 minutes before he started moving again. While not hearing the noise again, he started heading out of the woods back to his truck, where he was going to meet his dad for lunch. The witness told his dad what he had heard while they ate lunch. His dad told him that it might have been a large buck, trying to let him know that he was getting too close, which the witness said that it sounds good to him, as he had never heard a buck grunt before. So they decided to go back to the same spot, hoping that the buck would come back. Once they had made it to the marshy part of the trail, he told his dad to go in the direction the two deer had ran off towards earlier, hoping that he could spook them out again towards his dad. He says that he waited to start into the pine trees until his dad was gone out of sight. Then the witness started heading back into the trees again, when he saw 3 does heading right at the grove of trees he was in, when all of a sudden he heard the loud expulsion of air, followed by a branch breaking. He says that this really spooked the deer. 2 of them turned and started running down the hill, with the third one darting up the hill, coming right at him at this point, saying that the deer was so shook up that it came about 10 feet from the witness before stopping. The deer stopped and seemed to be looking around a tree, like it was trying to see where the noise came from. Now the witness said that the deer stood there for about a minute, looking around the tree, while being absolutely unaware of him. The deer slowly turned back towards the witness and started walking towards him. The witness said that he twitched his arm to show the deer where he was, saying that this movement startled the deer so bad that it fell to the ground. While it was on its side, the deer did a spin on the ground. Then jumping up, it ran the other way. Once the deer got around the tree and had moved about 20 yards away from the witness, the sound ringed out at once more. This time the deer went south down the hill. The witness said that the deer had made its way into a clearing and stopped, saying that the deer would look at him and then look towards where the sound had came from. That it did this about 7 times before it just slowly walked away. Now at this time, the witness said that he started heading towards the deer and the noise. He was at the point that he wanted to know what was making these sounds. He still hasn't ruled out a large luck at this time. But why would the does get so shooken up over it grunting? They should be used to hearing that sound. At least I would think so anyway. Now the witness was walking through the pine trees. When he neared the edge of the tree line, he saw a large black figure sitting underneath a pine tree. It was about 30 yards away, if that. This creature almost seemed to be sunning itself. The witness first noticed the size of this creature's shoulders. They were very large, huge even, while having 4 to 6 inch hair, but that even with all its hair, he could still see the muscular definition in this thing's shoulders and chest. The witness did say that there was a fallen tree that blocked his view of its lower body. It blocked everything below this creature's waistline. Now, at this point in deciding, the witness said that him and this creature locked eyes, while they both stood absolutely motionless and just stared at each other. The witness says he noticed that this thing's eyes were dark in color, while not seeing any white at all, saying that this creature's hair was blowing ever so slightly in the breeze, while the witness said that he didn't see any facial hair on this creature. It looked to be very dark skinned, that the face and skin looked to be ape-like. After a minute or so of staring at each other, the witness said that he wanted to get a better and closer look at this thing. So as he took a step to his left to move around the fallen tree, he says that they lost sight of each other. At this point, he could hear this creature getting up. With the creature still out of sight, he could hear this sound of the creature expulsion of air and snapping branches as it was running away. Now the witness and his dad was going to camp that night, but that after this sighting they both decided not to. So they packed up and left. So what did you think about this sighting? Drop me a comment if you would like. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of El Dorado County, California, from the winter of 2004. The witness states that him and his girlfriend had went fishing at Stumpy Meadows, that he had gone up there about 5 days out of the last week. They would arrive early in the morning so that they could get their lines in the water as much as possible, due to they like to pan for gold in between the fishing as well. He says that they were around the dam and spillway area, saying with his gold fever and that he was really hoping to catch some trout this day. He started wandering down the spillway fishing, while his girlfriend was doing some panning up above in the stream. Now, as he started to work his way down to the spillway, he says he started getting the feeling of being watched. When he started getting a bad feeling, he said, the feeling you get when your hair on the back of your neck just stands straight up. Now, as he was standing on a rock in the middle of the spillway, with his girlfriend being about 20 feet upstream panning, when she all of a sudden said to him, "Let's get out of here. Something is watching us." The witness told her that he has had the same feeling for a while now. So they both started climbing out of their spot, back onto a service road that runs along the spillway, saying that they were rubbernecking it, looking left and right, and especially behind them as they were moving down the road. It was hard for their witness to describe the feeling, while neither one of them saw anything, but something was giving them the creeps for sure. and that it felt like to them that whatever this thing was, that it was getting even closer to them now, saying at this time they were walking as fast as you can without running. While they both tried not to look scared shitless, they said, but that they knew that if they broke for the car, that one of them might fall behind. So they kept walking as casually as they could, having these feelings. Now, as they were moving up the steep road, he thought something was following them for sure now. He says as they would walk, that this thing would walk with them. But once they stopped, it would also stop. It just seemed to be keeping pace with them. He says that this thing came from below them from the same side of the stream, and that it was following them just far enough away to stay out of sight. Now, the witness said that he is a Native American from Auburn, that he has relatives that lives in this area. He has spent many nights hunting these hills with his cousins. He has even been followed by mountain lions a few times, but that this thing wasn't that. He says he knows that feeling, and the feeling he had was much worse than that. Just knowing something was there. He turned to his girlfriend and said, lock and load, figuring that if it was a person, they would back off. Now he says as they got within 20 feet of the car, that his girlfriend just bolted. Once they made it to the car, he stood watched with his pistol in hand as his girlfriend loaded the car, which was in record time, he said. When he pulled out of the entranceway, he stopped on top of the dam, went to unload his pistol and put it away, saying that they got out of the car to gather themselves, that he took a few steps towards the edge of the spillway when something very big and black came up and around the spillway, while it went right up the hill to where the other creature was. At this time, the witness saw another large creature followed by two smaller things. The witness says that it was getting dark at this time, while stating that he wasn't no more than 100 feet from them. Now he says he yelled hey very loudly at them, saying that he only got back what sounded like gibberish to him, saying that they kept this up until they walked up and over the hill in front of him. That whatever the noise they made to him was, he thought it might be some kind of other language, because they repeated it a couple of times in the same sequence while walking over the hill into darkness. Now, this witness didn't get the best look at these things because it was getting dark, but they were big while they also had young ones with them. So what did you think about this sighting report? Drop me a comment down below. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of El Dorado County, California, from July 11th of 2009. The witness states that her and her husband were driving on Highway 50 on July 11th of 2009, when all of a sudden they noticed an 8 to 10 foot creature, which seemed to just be standing on the side of the road, saying that this creature was very hairy, while just standing there looking at them as they passed it, while saying that they had driven this highway enough to know that this wasn't something that they were used to seeing. They had seen several deers on the way home that night, but the witness says that she couldn't believe what her and her husband just witnessed. Now, the time of the sighting was between 10 and 10:30 that night, saying that the creature was on the side of the road heading toward Sacramento, while being 3 to 5 miles between Silver Fork and the Twin Bridge area. Now, saying that this creature just seemed to be standing there watching the cars and trucks going by. Both her and her husband stated that the sighting only lasted for a couple of seconds, that this creature was about 20 to 30 feet off the road in a vehicle pullout area. They were doing around 55 miles an hour traveling toward Sacramento. The witness said that this creature was one of the hairiest creatures she had ever seen, while being a very dark brown or a blackish color. She noticed the eyes, but none of its other facial features, but that she did notice its humanistic features, like a head sitting on its shoulders, while standing on two legs being bipedal, with the height being huge for sure. Now the husband corroborated his wife's story. Now as the husband described his sighting to the investigator, he stated that this creature at first looked like a out-of-place tree, growing in the pull-out area of the road, stating that this creature was very thick and massive, while being at least 3 feet thick through its shoulders and chest area. He also said that this thing was a very dark brown to black in its color. Now the witness says that this sighting scared her and that she won't drive on this road at night anymore. While her husband had heard of sightings in this area before their sighting that night. Well, he never really took much stock in any of these stories, but now they both believe in these creatures. So with Silver Fork being the closest town to the sighting, I hope if anyone from this area sees this and has had a sighting of their own, maybe share it here in the comments. So I hope you liked this sighting report story, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Gray Harbor County, Washington, from April the 5th of 2008. The witness says that her and her boyfriend was with one of their friends, who was driving an old F-150 pickup truck. They were driving up an old logging road that her boyfriend and their friend was going to teach her how to shoot a shotgun a little bit better, saying that they had made it back to a very desolate area with very thick forest. Well, they were lost, but knew that this road came out near Capitol Forest. Now, as it was starting to get late, and all three of them was ready to go home, well, they ended up getting turned around somewhere, which I took as them still being lost at this time. When they found themselves going around a corner with a hill running down on the left-hand side, saying that it had lots of pine trees with low-lying brush. Now the witness says that everything kind of runs together at this point, but that she would try to get everything out without the cursing that was involved. The witness says that she was sitting in the middle in the truck when she saw a flash of very large eyes in the headlights. Now at this time she said, "Holy shit, look at that," and a few other key words that I won't really go into right now. Her friend stopped the truck and got out to get a better look at this creature. Now her boyfriend had no idea what was going on at the time, for he hadn't seen this creature. The witness says at this time that the two boys that she was with has done a lot of hunting. They are very familiar with the animal's reactions and their size and eye shapes. The witness says that she was frozen with fear, that she was just sitting there in the truck. She says she thinks about 5 minutes went by, or at least it felt that long to her, with her boyfriend being out of the truck now, while the witness was still frozen in fear. The witness says she felt like time had truly stopped. She was staring at the largest greenish eyes she has ever seen, with her friend being so shaken up that he couldn't even get a shell into the shotgun, or even hold it for that matter. Now, her boyfriend told her that all of a sudden she started screaming and shrieking. The witness seems to think that this was the time that she snapped out of the trance or fright that she was in when she saw this creature's outline. The witness said that the most thing that sticks out to her besides this creature's eyes were its massive forearms that it was propping itself up with. While the witness couldn't tell what color the creature was, she said that this creature was at least 700 to 750 pounds, while she was still screaming and crying now. Nell saying at this time that both the boys had jumped back into the truck. Her boyfriend was still asking, "What did we see?" when all of a sudden the witness's nose started gushing blood. With this being the first time in many years of her getting a nosebleed, she thinks that it was the absolute terror of the moment, that she was just terrified of this creature that she was seeing. While this creature didn't move the whole time their headlights was on it, her friend started to drive off. This is when they noticed that the creature had took off running up the hillside. Now the witness says the hour ride back home was very weird, with her and her friend not wanting to talk about what they had seen. All that her friend would say to her boyfriend was that whatever he saw was huge. The eyes were huge. Now they all wanted to get out of the woods and get home. Now the witness says that she grew up hiking and camping in the woods, but that she has never seen or experienced the pure terror of that moment. That whatever this creature was, that she never has seen anything this strange, shocking, or terrifying all at the same time. Now she did say that the next day their friend came back over. He told them that he had also had nosebleeds all night, while also having some terrifying dreams as well. He said that he hadn't had nosebleeds in years also. Okay, so what's with the nosebleeds? Could it have been the fear of seeing this creature causing them? Well, I guess it could have pushed their blood pressure through the roof, I guess. That's the only thing that I can think of for that. What about you? Can you think of a reason for the nosebleeds? If so, please drop a comment down below. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Newton County, Arkansas, from July the 22nd of 2018. The witness and the father of her son had traveled to the Buffalo National River area. They wanted to visit a waterfall while they were here, so she says that they picked one out of the guidebook, which was called Hideout Hollow. As they were pulling up to the trailhead parking area, she says as they stopped and turned off the car that she heard what sounded like a dog sniffing very loudly. That she turned to him and said, "Did you hear that?" saying that she used a very soft and low voice. He answered with, "That sounded like a heavy machinery off in a distance." Now she said that she just let it go. She was glad that he acknowledged the sound, so they eased out of the car and started walking up the trailhead. Not getting far before they realized that they had forgotten their walking poles. She had a weird feeling, but she told him that she would run back and get them, knowing that she would not be out of his sight. Now, as she returned with their sticks, they started heading on down the trailhead, saying that they were just starting around a corner, the corner that breaks to the left. They said that at this time they heard a loud rustling coming from the left. As they turned and looked into the direction of the rustling, saying at this time they saw something running through the forest. As it was passing through the trees, they could see what they thought was a man, a very large man running, up until they realized that this creature was covered with hair, with the hair being of brown in color. The witness describes the hair as a medium chocolate brown. She says that she could see the creature's arms as it was running through the trees, that it was using its arms, moving limbs and branches away from its face, with its hands being black in color. Now at this time, she said she turned towards her companion and said in a whisper, "What was that?" He whispered back, "I have no idea." So she said, "Do you want to go back?" With him just nodding his head yes, saying that the direction that this creature was running would put it across the trail in front of them. So they started walking quickly back to their car, with both of them constantly looking back over their shoulders. At this time, the witness says that she started asking questions, so to make sure they both saw the same creature. They both agreed that this thing was running on its hind legs, with it also being brown in color. While they both agreed that this creature was way larger than them, with them still being on the trail moving towards the car, all of a sudden something went flying over their heads. They could hear something hitting the leaves and branches over them. The witness said that it sounded like a rock had been thrown at them. As she turned and looked at her companion, with the look on her face being, "What the heck was that?" when she noticed that his eyes were wide open, saying at this time she has never been this scared before. They started running to the car, while she was thinking that they might not make it. Once they did make it to the car, the witness said that her companion started second guessing what they had seen, suggesting it could have been a bear, deer, or even an elk. So the witness said that she asked him, "Have you ever seen a bear or a deer or elk run that smoothly on two legs before?" Then he gave the only answer he could. "No," he said. After they left, they went to Tea Kettle Falls. The witness said that she was still scared and couldn't even bring herself to get out of the car. She thought that this thing had enough time to get to this area, so she was just too anxious to even get out at this point. So what do you think about this sighting? Drop me a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button as well, so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Ohio from December the 28th of 2000. The witness stated that him and a friend were shoveling out snow from his parents' driveway when they noticed what looked to be footprints in the snow, with the prints being around 15 inches. The prints looked like they came from a person, a barefooted person. They both was thinking that it was strange for someone to be out walking in the snow barefooted, which it had been snowing and they couldn't truly say the print showed toes. But they still thought they would follow the tracks, saying that they looked like only a single person had made them, or a single animal. But they were strange enough to get the boys to follow them. The two of them followed the tracks over a half a mile into the woods, when they suddenly began hearing a knocking noise. Now at this time they thought that it must be a woodpecker. At least that is what it reminded them of at the time. As they kept following the tracks further into the woods, they began cresting a hill, when both of the witnesses noticed what was making the knocking sound. It wasn't a woodpecker after all. What they saw was a large, and very large at that, creature beating a tree with its fist, with this creature being about 100 yards away from them. The creature wasn't facing them as it was beating on the tree, saying that this thing was at least 7 feet tall, maybe bigger. It was just beating the tree then it would stop and begin shaking it. While they watched this creature, they noticed another one. This one seemed to be digging in the dirt through the snow. It was also turned from them, only about 10 feet or so from the first creature. As the witness and his friend looked over the area, it had the look of being disturbed, as logs looked to have been turned over. So I would say that it sounded to me that these creatures might have been looking for some food in this area. Maybe the one creature was looking for food as the other one made noise to keep the other animals away? Or was it just pissed off that they wasn't finding any food? It could even be that they did find some food here, and the one beating on the tree was letting the other Bigfoot creatures know that they did find food. He might have been giving the come and get it signal to them, or even a no food over here signal. Keep looking. That's my thoughts anyway. It was beating on the tree for some reason. Now, with them watching these creatures for about a minute, they noticed that both of these creatures were about the same color, with them being whitish or a very light gray in color. Now, at this time, the witness threw a stick and rocks in the creature's direction, trying to get their attention. When the both of them turned and looked right at the witnesses. Now, one creature looked up from digging, saying that this creature had a shocked look on its face and let out a loud scream, while the one beating on the tree turned and looked right at the witness and let out a grunt. The witness says they saw the faces of the creatures when they turned around, with its face being a brown color, with them having wide flat noses and dark eyes, maybe even black. Their head was roundish while having no neck to mention, with the witnesses seeing no ears either on this creature, but that its hair was longer looking on its head. So maybe with the longer hair on its head, the hair could be covering up the ears, with the hair hanging down onto its shoulders. While the creature that was digging was darker in color on its backside. So this creature was sitting. Maybe it got a little dirty on its backside. Just saying that because of the way they mention it in the report. Once the creature saw them, they took off running into the woods, saying that they watched them running for about 10 seconds before they just disappeared into the trees. They also noticed that the creature that was digging in the dirt was about a foot smaller than the other. As the creature was running away, they also said that they noticed the color of their hands and the soles of its feet, which was also a brownish color. Now at this point, one of the witnesses wanted to keep following them, but the other witness was just a little scared and didn't want to follow them deeper into the woods. So they headed back to the house, where the witness told his mother what they had just witnessed, not expecting what happened next. He said that his mom just freaked out, that before he knew it, he was having a drug test done. While he passed the test with no problem, she made him stop hanging out with his best friend at the time. Then he was sent to a therapist, which kept telling him that he didn't see what he said he saw, but that no matter how much he went to the therapist, he couldn't say that he didn't see this creature. The boy, from what I can tell, was around about 17 years old at the time of the sightings. Now, I can't believe his mom put him through all that she did. Now, I could see getting him some help with dealing with what he had just seen. But to make him go to someone being paid to pretty much tell him that he was lying, that would have been really bad, I think. If that was what truly happened to this witness, then I feel sorry for him. So I hope you enjoyed this sighting story. If you have any thoughts on this, please drop them down in the comments. This skunk ape sighting comes out of Marion County, Florida, from June the 15th of 2004. The witness says that it took him 4 years to come forward after this sighting, that before making this report he had told no one of this, that he worked in the Ocala National Forest while maintaining 117 miles of forest road, which mostly was for all the logging trucks. This day he was grading the road when he looked up and saw a massive 6.5 foot tall creature, saying that this creature was at least twice as thick as he was, that it was just standing there in a profile stance to him. Now the witness said that this creature's head was turned towards him. It seemed to be looking right at me, he said. At this point, he stopped the grader and was just sitting and idling, with this creature staring at him. It was like their eyes were locked onto each other. At this time, the witness says that he could tell that this creature was covered with either dark brown or blackish hair, while its arms were longer than that of a human. Now, this creature was about 200 yards down the road from the witness. Another thing the witness was able to notice about this creature was that its head set forwards on its shoulders, kind of giving this thing a hunched over look to it. While the witness also said that this creature didn't seem to have a neck, saying that if this creature did have a neck, that it wasn't noticeable to him. The creature truly looked to have a head sitting on its shoulders. It was strange looking to him. While this creature's head was proportionally to its body size. Now the witness said that they stared at each other for at least a minute, maybe longer. Then this creature just walked across the road and back into the forest. The witness did say that he sat there watching this creature with his motor idling, that the sound of the motor didn't seem to bother this animal. With this thing being bipedal and walking across the road, the witness said he worked down to where the creature had crossed, that he saw 2 left footprints, which was good and showed toes, with the one right footstep not being seen, that the creature's right foot must have stepped in a hard place on the road. The witness also said that when this creature walked off, that its long arms moved in a swinging motion. He also said that the creature looked heavy. Like I said earlier, he said that it was twice the witness thickness. But this creature looked to be in good shape, though. Now the tracks he found was over 12 inches long, with this thing only taking 3 steps to clear the road. The witness said that where this creature crossed was about 16 to 18 foot across. So that's close to a 6-foot gate for this creature. That would be a big gate for a person. Well, at least not looking funny as they made the steps. A tall man could make that gate, but I think the witness would have seen a funny looking person walking over. While taking such long strides, that is. Now the witness said that he didn't have a radio on him. So thinking that he should keep this to himself, he didn't want to put his job in jeopardy, never knowing how people would see him. He didn't want people to think that he was crazy or anything like that. This is one reason I think people don't report their sightings. I truly believe that for every one sighting that gets reported, that there are many more that don't, with there being over 23,000 sightings over the last 50 years or so. Sometimes I wonder just how many people have let their sightings go unreported, due to worrying how they would be received by others. I've seen people lose friends and family members due to reporting these creatures. So I would say that number could be high as 80 to 100,000 sightings, with most of the sightings not being reported. Now that's just my opinion anyway. So I hope you like this skunk ape sighting or Bigfoot. Till next time, stay safe and have a great day. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Washington State. The witness says that him and his fiancee was driving on Hilltop Road, which is in Marysville, Washington, saying that it was a very winding road that goes through heavy woods. When he was coming out of a right-hand curve, at this point the witness said that he saw a gigantic light brown to a dark tan creature crossing the road, stating that the creature was very hairy. While it crossed the road right in front of them, it was moving right to left across the road. Now the witness said that he didn't get a good look at the creature's head due to it was above the headlights, but that the light did illuminate the rest of the creature. This animal's shoulders was at least 3 foot wide, he says. As far as height goes, he would estimate around 8 foot at the shoulders, maybe even 8.5 foot. So that should have put this creature around 9 to 9.5 feet tall. Yep, that's a big one. Now the witness says that he could see the movement of this creature's arms and shoulders as it ran across the road, with its thighs moving as well. Now the witness says that where the sighting happened that it is very steep, with it being so steep that he didn't think a human could have moved so fast down the hill, with all the thick woods and being wet from the rain, that he couldn't see how a human could have navigated and kept from slipping on the wet ground. The witness says by the time he had stopped the car and gotten out, that this creature was gone. The witness said that even though it was out of sight, that he could still hear the creature crashing through the brush and trees. Now, in the follow-up report by the BFRO, it lists more details, saying that the creature was only around 20 feet from the truck at the time of the crossing, that it seemed to had only taken 3 steps for it to clear the road. It also stated that the creature's hair was shaggy, while being around 1 to 2 inches long, with it being light brown, except on its back where it appeared to be a darker shade of brown, while the creature's arms were very long. Now the witness also said while they were parked looking for this thing, that they both heard footsteps and a faint scream off in the distance, when all of a sudden they caught the smell of bad body odor. Mixed in with this scent was a scent of rotten fish smell. Oh, that's a bad mixture. With the time of the sighting being between 11 and 11:30, that it was very dark and raining, and that the only light was the light from the headlights. It also said that this area is prone to flooding and pulls up, becoming a swamp. Now they do have some pictures of where this sighting happened. This first picture shows the location of the sighting. It is heavily wooded just as the witness said it was. Now this next picture is of the bank that the creature had to run down to cross the road. Again, I believe the witness when he said that he thought a human would have a hard time navigating without falling. I think it would be hard not to slip and fall there. With the ground being all wet and that steep, it would be very hard to do. Now, with this picture being where the creature ran back into the woods after it crossed the road, so with this bank being wet and slippery, I think that it would also be hard to do. And this last picture is a close-up of the area that the creature ran into after crossing the road. Where the sighting happened is directly west of a large wooded area, and this area runs virtually into the Cascade foothills, with it having plenty of forest for a large animal to go undetected in. While the direction of this creature at the time of the sighting was heading right in towards this area. So do you think they saw a Bigfoot that night? Or maybe something else? Drop me a comment down below. This video will consist of two sightings that happened at the same location, but different time of the year and by two different individuals. This Bigfoot sighting comes out of Christian County, Illinois, from May the 5th of 2008. The witness says that him and his dad was heading into Taylorsville, coming in from the southwest, that they were on Route 48. When they came over a small hill, that this is when the sighting happened. Now the witness says that his dad noticed the creature first, that his father started hyperventilating and was staring at something. So he looked back up the road to see what his father was looking at, when he saw this very tall creature. It was standing upright on two legs. As he watched this creature walk across the road, that once this thing had made it across the road, that there was a guardrail there, and that this creature just stepped over it. Now the witness said that there was a bridge next to where this creature crossed, and that after it went over the guardrail, it started to walk underneath the bridge. That once the creature got underneath the bridge, it just disappeared out of sight. Now, in the follow-up interview from the BFRO report, they said the creature was 9 to 10 feet tall, which would make this one very big boy, I think. While its body was huge and very muscular looking to the witnesses. Also that the shoulder width was massive, that the creature was black in color, while they didn't see the creature's face. Now the BFRO site says that there was another sighting at the same area later in that same year. So could this creature be using this bridge as cover? Could it have a nest or something it calls home close by? Maybe there's paths just cuts across and goes under the bridge. Maybe multiple Bigfoot creatures uses this path throughout the year. I don't know about that. So what do you think about this sighting? Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think. This next Bigfoot report is the other sighting that I mentioned. It's from September 28th of 2008, out of Christian County as well. The witness says that the wife of his brother was driving on Route 48, about 2 miles from Taylorsville, near the Samagon River Bridge. That she said that a very large and hairy creature came up and out of the ditch and walked across the road in front of her car, saying that after it crossed the road, that it came to a guardrail, and that this creature stepped over it, like it wasn't even there, she said, like it was nothing. That it continued to walk off back into the woods where it disappeared. Well, I guess these two sightings are very much the same. In many ways, don't you think? Now, the size is very different in the two sightings. This witness said the creature was 7 foot tall, with the body being huge and very muscular, while the color of this creature was a dark brown, saying that it walked at a regular pace, that it wasn't in any hurry or rush because of her or her car. This creature didn't even look at her or the car as she approached it. The witness said she didn't see its face, that the creature just looked ahead to where it was going. So, wow, these two sightings are very close to one another now, aren't they? Now, knowing that there is a river there, I wonder if they use this path to go up and down to the river. Maybe getting water, or maybe hunting close to the water source. Seems to be two different animals seen crossing almost in the same area. One being a black while the other was brown. At two different times of the year as well. So these two sighting reports makes me think that they may be or have been a family group in this area, or just a well-used path. So what do you think about these two sightings? Does it give you any questions or thoughts about them? Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you might be thinking. So till next time, stay safe and have a great week. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you can keep up with all of our latest videos. And thanks for watching those endless mysteries.